Hello students, today I am going to discuss a topic on personality, its types and traits. Introduction. Education aims at the development of the human personality. The present unit shares with you information regarding the concept, definitions and characteristics of personality, as well as a discussion on the determinants of personality. The various approaches to understand personality development are also discussed. Objectives. After going through this unit, you should be able to define personality, explain the concept and characteristics of personality, describe various approaches to understand personality, describe the various factors or determinants of personality. Concept of personality. Personality is a person's enduring set of habits of thinking, feeling, and acting. It is the totality of everything about a person, his or her physical, emotional, mental, social, ethical, and spiritual makeup. In simple terms, personality consists of the following: the way you look, the way you dress, the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you act. Definitions of personality. Number 1, Gordon Allport, quote, "Personality is the dynamic organization within the individual of those psychophysical systems that determine his unique adjustments to his environment." Number 2, Watson, quote, "Personality is the sum of activities that can be discovered by actual observation over a long period of time to give reliable information," unquote. Characteristics of personality. Number 1, personality of each individual is unique and specific. Number 2, personality is dynamic and not static and ever in process of change and modification. Number 3, personality functions as a unified whole. It includes everything about a person. Number 4, personality is the product of both heredity and environment. Number 5, personality is continually adjusting itself to environment. Number 6, in some cases, personality influences the environment. Number 7, every person's personality is always striving for certain ends towards some specific goals. Number 8, personality is self-consciousness. Theories of personality. Some of the important theories of personality are discussed as under: A. Type approach. Number 1, Hippocrates classification. Hippocrates attempted to classify personality types according to body humors as follows. Type 1, sanguine. It is caused by excess of blood, and characteristics are cheerful, energetic, and optimistic. Type 2, choleric. It is caused by excess of yellow bile. Characteristics are active but irritable. Type 3, melancholic. It is caused by excess of black bile. Characteristics are no energy, no happiness, and pessimistic. Number 4, phlegmatic. It is caused by excess of phlegm, and characteristics are calm, quiet, slow, and unexcitable. Number 2, Kretschmer's typology. Kretschmer talked about 4 types. Number 1, picnic type. Number 2, asthenic type. Number 3, athletic type. And number 4, dysplastic type. Type 1, picnic, and its characteristics are short and stout, easygoing and popular with people. Type 2, asthenic. Its characteristics are tall and thin, critical of others but sensitive to criticisms of themselves. Type 3, athletic, muscular and responsive to desirable adjustments. Type 4, dysplastic. Characteristics are abnormal build with characteristics growing out of the abnormality. Number 3, Sheldon's typology. Sheldon, on the basis of physical constitution, categorized human personality into 3 basic types. These 3 types are A. Endomorphic, B. Mesomorphic, C. Ectomorphic. Type A, endomorphic, and its characteristics are Body is soft and round, and behavior dominated by massive digestive viscera. Number B, mesomorphic, and its characteristics are muscular and bony, hard and heavy physique and thick skin. Number C, ectomorphic, and its characteristics are fragile and sensitive to exposure. Number 4, Jung's classification. He divided all the human beings basically into two distinct types, introvert and extrovert. Extrovert characteristics: 1, fluent in speech; 2, free from worries; 3, not easily embarrassed; 4, usually conservative; 5, interested in athletics; 6, governed by objective data; 7, friendly; 8, likes to work with others; 9, neglectful of ailments and personal belongings; 10, flexible and adaptable. Introvert characteristics: number 1, better at writing than at speaking; number 2, inclined to worry; number 3, easily embarrassed; 4, inclined to be radical; 5, fond of books and magazines; 6, more influenced by subjective feelings; 7, rather reserved; 8, like to work alone; 9, careful of ailments and personal belongings; 10, lacking in flexibility. B, trait theories. Trait approach got maximum impetus from the work of Allport, Cattell, and Ising. Their theories are discussed below. Number 1, Allport's trait theory. According to Allport, there are two types of traits. They are: number 1, common traits; number 2, personal traits or dispositions. Number 1, common traits. These are the traits found in the majority of persons living in a society or a certain country or culture. They are found to hold the same viewpoints and behave in like manner as others. Number 2, personal traits or dispositions. According to Allport, personal disposition is something unique to the individual, and this disposition makes him behave consistently in the same way in a number of situations that are similar. Also, Allport categorized the personal dispositions into 3 groups. Number 1, cardinal traits; number 2, central traits; and number 3, secondary traits. These traits are explained by Allport as follows. Number 1, cardinal traits. These are central to the individual, and these traits manifest themselves in almost all situations and in the individual's very personality. Number 2, central traits. This is found in all persons, and one can have 5 to 10 central dispositions. These are not the same as the cardinal traits, but one can assess the personality of an individual in terms of these traits. Number 3, secondary traits. These are not overwhelming like the cardinal traits, as these traits are less consistent, less explicit, and less meaningful for a person. Number 2, Cattell's trait theory. R.B. Cattell divided traits into 2 categories. They are surface traits and source traits. Surface traits. These are found on the periphery of personality. That is, these are reflected in the day-to-day interactions of the person. Source traits. These represent the structure of personality and are present in less number than surface traits. These traits are not observable in day-to-day interactions of the person. Cattell mentioned 2 types of source traits, that is, environmental mold traits and constitutional traits. Environmental mold traits. In the development of some source traits, environmental factors play more important role than genetic factors, and such traits are called environmental mold traits. Constitutional traits. Source traits which are determined by genetic factors are called constitutional traits. Cattell also divided traits according to the behavior they are related to, and these include the dynamic traits and ability traits. Dynamic traits are those which direct the behavior of the person in a particular direction. Attitude and sentiments are examples of dynamic traits. Ability traits. Traits that are instrumental in reaching to a goal are called ability traits. For example, musical ability is a must for becoming a musician. Number 3, Ising's personality types. Ising's type theory is based on 3 personality dimensions. Number 1, extraversion, introversion dimension. Number 2, neuroticism, stability dimension, and psychoticism. Traits associated with the 3 personality dimensions as follows. Number 1, neuroticism. Traits are anxious, depressed, guilt feelings, low self-esteem, tense, irrational, shy, moody, and emotional. Number 2, extraversion. Traits are sociable, lively, active, assertive, sensation-seeking, carefree, dominant, surgent, and venturesome. Number 3, introversion. Persistence, rigidity, subjectivity, shyness, and irritability. 4, psychoticism. Recklessness, a disregard for common sense or conventions, and a degree of inappropriate emotional expression. C. Psychoanalytic theories of personality. Sigmund's theory of personality. Freud's anatomy of personality is built around the concept of id, ego, and superego. Let's try to understand these 3 aspects. Number 1, id. It is the raw, savage, and immoral basic stuff of a man's personality. It cannot distinguish between good and evil. It consists of such ambitions, desires, tendencies, and appetites of an individual and is guided by a pleasure-seeking principle. Number 2, ego. It acts as a policeman to check the unlawful activities of the id. It follows the principle of reality and acts with intelligence in controlling, selecting, and deciding what appetites have to be satisfied and in which way they are to be satisfied. Number 3, superego. The superego is the ethical moral arm of the personality. It is idealistic and does not care for realities. It is a decision-making body which decides what is bad or good, virtue or vice according to the standard of society which it accepts. Determinants of personality. Both the environmental and hereditary factors contribute as the important determinants and factors of personality, and they are discussed below. Number 1, environmental factors of personality. The environmental factors such as the home and family, the neighborhood, school, college, university, and workplace influence in the personality development of an individual. Healthy home life plays an important part in the normal growth and development of one's personality. In schools also, the personality characteristics of the teachers, headmaster, classmates, the values and ideals maintained by the schools, general atmosphere in the classroom and school, all influence the personality development of the child. The social environment, like social groups, social or religious institutions or agencies like temple, club, cinema, radio, press, etc., influence on the personality development of a child. Number 2, biological factors of personality. Physical characteristics of an individual like his height, weight, color, sex, beauty and body language, etc., influence the personality development of an individual. Mental factor, that is intelligence, plays a vital role in the development of personality of an individual by checking and directing an individual's behavior pattern. Psychological factors like motives, interests, attitudes, emotional reactions, sentiments, character, etc., direct the behavior pattern of an individual. In conclusion, personality is the totality of everything about a person, his or her physical, emotional, mental, social, ethical, and spiritual makeup. Regarding its characteristics also, Personality functions as a unified whole. It includes everything about a person. Several approaches have emerged to study personality, of which some have been referred to, namely type approaches: Hippocrates, Kretschmer, Sheldon, and Jung; trait approaches: Allport, Cattell, and Ising; and psychoanalytical approach: Freud. The development of personality is determined by biological factors such as physics, sex, nervous system and glands, intelligence, motivation, emotional reactions, attitudes, interest, temperament and sentiments, etc., and environmental factors such as home and family, the neighborhood, school, college, university, and workplace. Thank you.